Ladies and gentlemen, got two kinds of stories. Those you can take to bed with you and then there's the other kind. Now our story tonight is the other kind.
So last week I went to a film festival in Los Angeles called Beyond Fest, and there I saw the new A24 film Lamb. Some buddies and myself drove to Santa Monica to the Arrow Theater where we saw the film, and it was a pretty cool experience. You know, there was a lot of people there. It was a sold out show, and we even had to sit very close to the front. So the screen was a little, so yeah, we sat very close to the front, and it wasn't the most ideal way to watch a movie in a theater, but it did work in our advantage because after the film there was a Q&A session with the director Vladimir Johansson and the actress Noomi Rapace, I think is how you say her last name, who plays the girl with the dragon tattoo, the original 2009 Swedish film. So yeah, it was cool. We got to see them talk a little bit after the movie, and hearing a lot of what they had to say about the movie kind of also helped a lot in regards to what my thoughts are on this film, so I'm excited to share that with you. But yeah, it was just overall a really fun experience, and before the movie started, the people over at Beyond Fest came up on stage and they dressed up as, I think, lambs.
And last but not least, I want to thank our friends at Bucking Bottom.
And they were just going apeshit on the stage. It was a really cool experience, mostly because this is the first Beyond Fest ever since the pandemic happened, and so, everybody, seeing each other again in person, it was a really fun experience, and you can tell that everybody was just really excited to see each other and to be there and to, actually, share the same movie-going experience, and, yeah, it was a fun time. So Lamb is the newest film from A24, directed by Vladimir Johansson, I think is how you say his name. Hey, how's it going? Jacob here from the future. Just here to correct myself from a mistake I made throughout the video where I called the director Vladimir when really it's Valdemar. So the director's name is Valdemar Johansson, not Vladimir, and I'm too lazy to change, every time I say Vladimir, so I'm not gonna do that. This is just your reminder that I fucked up, and I'm sorry about that. His name's Valdemar. Alright, thanks, bye. It is an Icelandic film, so I know this film hasn't been released publicly yet, so I'm going to refrain from saying any major spoilers about this movie, so if you haven't seen the movie and if you want to know my thoughts, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything, so you'll be totally fine. But I am going to give a very brief synopsis on what the movie's about, again without spoiling anything, so here we go. The film follows a couple named Maria and Ingvar, I think was his name, at a farm in Iceland. They kind of live literally in the middle of nowhere, and over there, they care for your typical farm animals. They have a bunch of sheep, a bunch of lamb, and it is also heavily implied that this couple is childless and that they perhaps once had a child, but they tragically passed away, or something of that sort. Point being, they're just a couple, they don't have a child, and you can just tell by the way that they interact and that they carry themselves that they they long to have a child and they want to have that connection with a person of their own. But lo and behold, their mundane lives all of a sudden come to a halt as they are helping this mother sheep give birth, and this mother sheep gives birth to just a fucking medical anomaly. It is a half lamb, half human hybrid, and they call it Ada, or Ada. I think it's Ada. Ada, by the way, is one of the most adorable characters in any movie ever, by the way. I absolutely fucking love her. So you think their natural reaction would be just completely appalled and shocked by it, but rather they feel kind of happy and relieved that they have another person that was brought into their lives, and so they actually end up treating it like their own child, despite its physical differences and the fact that they just have no idea what it is or what it came to be. But they don't ask that question. They're just like, oh yeah, this is our child now. And so from then on, the movie just kind of follows the three of them as they, just try to be a family, and that's basically the whole movie. Of course, there's this underlying impending doom throughout the film, and you don't quite know where the movie's going. And that's honestly what I really liked about this movie, is just how unpredictable it is and how many different directions it goes, and you just have no idea where it's going and where where it ends up going. To give an example, there's a moment in the film where maybe there's a new character introduced and you're thinking like, oh, you know, maybe that there's going to be something that will happen involved with this character and that this will progress the plot. But rather it just goes in a completely different direction that you just do not expect. You really have no idea where the movie is going throughout literally the entire fucking runtime up until the very last shot. Like, you genuinely have no fucking idea where it's going and when it's gonna end and how it's gonna end. I really respect the movie for doing that. During the Q&A, Vladimir Johansson talked about some of his influences and inspirations for this film, and a big inspiration for this film, who also happens to be one of the producers for the movie, is Béla Tarr. And if you don't know who Béla Tarr is, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Béla Tarr is known for making just these incredibly long, very slow, minimalistic movies. And they're the type of movies that you have to be very patient for if you want to appreciate it, or even, you know, attempt to understand what he's doing with these characters in the story. And that's what Béla Tarr kind of does, is he tests the audience and challenges the audience by creating these very long and slow shots. As beautiful as his shots may be, you know, they definitely take their time, and there usually isn't a whole lot going on in the shot, but it's not for everybody. It's for a very specific audience. Lamb is a movie that kind of does the same thing. The movie is very slow, and it definitely takes its time. In fact, there really is not a whole lot of dialogue in the whole movie. We're basically just following this couple and, you know, just this fucking anomaly of a creature, and you know, there's very little talking. It's just a lot of mannerisms and facial expressions and, you know, their actions and what they're doing. A lot of what the movie does and is saying is shown on a visual standpoint as opposed to dialogue. That being said, the movie is beautifully shot. There is some amazing cinematography in this movie, especially with some of the more wide shots and establishing shots that kind of just showcase, you know, this area that they're in. And yeah, Iceland is just a vibe, man. Iceland is really cool. And because the movie is so beautifully shot, and the fact that the situation that these characters are in is so unique, for that reason I honestly didn't mind the slow pace. It definitely did not bother me as much as I know for a fact that it will bother other people. And again, without much of the dialogue going on between the characters, there's not a lot that is being spoon-fed to the audience. And if this does not sound appealing to you at all, then by all means just stay away from this movie, because you're not going to get anything out of it. The movie is also surprisingly kind of funny. I was actually genuinely surprised how much I laughed during this movie, not just because of how absurd the premise is and the entire situation of these characters, but the movie genuinely has some pretty well written funny moments in it that kind of caught me off guard, especially being this type of movie that just takes its time and it's really and it's all about atmosphere and setting up a mood. And yeah, again, Ada is absolutely adorable as a character, and you know, even though you don't know what the fuck she is, the movie does such a great job at just making her feel like a real genuine character, and it offers a lot of time for the audience to really resonate with her character and the situation that she's in, and the fact that she probably doesn't even know what the fuck she is either. Now, I know for a fact that this movie's gonna get a lot of backlash because the trailer is incredibly misleading, and this is just a reoccurring thing that happens with all A24 movies, are the trailers just being so misleading. The trailer kind of makes it out to being like an art house horror film in the likes of something like Hereditary or Midsommar or The Witch, and it honestly is absolutely nothing like that. In fact, I will argue that this isn't even a horror film at all. It's more of a drama. It's generally just a straight up drama, honestly, with just a really weird, interesting twist. And I can just see a lot of the general audiences going into this movie expecting, like, you know, the next Hereditary or The Witch, and just going like,
what the fuck is this?
Just don't go into the movie expecting your typical traditional art house horror flair, because that's not what this movie is at all. This movie is more akin to the works of Béla Tarr and Ingmar Bergman than any of those movies, honestly. The film is actually written by the Icelandic writer slash poet Sean, I think is how you pronounce his name, S-J-O-N, I don't know, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it, I'm just gonna call him Sean. But yes, he and the director Vladimir Johansson both wrote the film, and I actually found a very interesting fun fact about Sean. So Sean is known for collaborating with the singer-songwriter Bjork a lot, and he even wrote the 2000 Lars von Trier film Dancer in the Dark, which starred Bjork, and he's also going to be writing the new Robert Eggers film The Northman, which coincidentally enough is also starring Bjork. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But also another fun fact is that he is a writer for the animated short film called Anna and the Moods, which also stars Bjork as well as Damon Albarn from from Gorillaz and Blur, and it also stars Stefan Karl Stefansson, I hope I didn't butcher that name, who is known for playing the villain Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town, and it is also narrated by Terry Jones of Monty Python fame, so yeah, there you go. But yeah, Anna in the Moods, I guess, is just like a 26-minute little animated short that is written by Sean, so this guy has so many interesting, like, connections with his work. It's I don't know. Anyway, I just thought I should bring that up. Fucking back to Lamb. But yeah, overall, I mean, Lamb is I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I don't know if it's a movie that's going to be up a lot of people's alley. I know for a fact that a lot of people are just going to downright hate this film as well as love it. It definitely has its audience, but hey, personally, I really like the movie. I thought it was pretty great. The movie kept my interest enough throughout the entire thing to the point where I loved every second watching it, regardless of how slow it was. Again, it kept my interest due to just how mysterious it is and how unpredictable it is and how you just have no idea like where it's going to end up going by the last shot of the movie. Which, you know, the ending to this movie is fucking great, by the way. The last 5 minutes, like, could not have been more perfect in my opinion. But yeah, in my eyes, Lamb is a great movie that just tackles a bunch of themes such as isolation and alienation and loneliness and, you know, what it means to be human. And just trying to find a hint of light in this mundane cycle of life that we are all accustomed to. And yeah, I liked pretty much everything that this film had going for it. I really don't have too much complaints about it, honestly, and I'm probably going to end up giving the film a 9 out of 10. And again, I need to reiterate this over and over again, but like, this movie's not for everybody. If none of this sounds appealing to you, then I do not recommend you watch it, because it is again a very slow movie, a very different movie, and one that you are just not going to expect no matter how much you think that you know what this movie is going to be and what it's going to be about, because again, it's a solid movie. I'm done talking about it. Alright. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Lamb. That's pretty much it. That's all I got in me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. It is October. It's spooky time. I'm ready to get down with it. Let's go. And... I'm out.